Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Good morning. Not really my morning, but it is your morning. It's 3 o'clock in the afternoon here, and if I look like I'm at the North Pole, it's because it's really cold here. Overcast, rainy, maybe. I don't know. I don't know. David, what's the temperature here? I think it's maybe 65, something like that. Anyway, oh, so good for you. So good for you to join me this morning. So if you're here, say hello. Hi, David, who's still here with me in South Africa. He's actually going home on Tuesday. I'm sure he's very sad about that. Hmm. Uh, and I'm hi, Jan. Good morning to you. Good morning. So, I sent my blog out late, so nobody's even going to get it this morning until it's already started, but some of you are here. Hi, Misty. So glad you're here. We're going to start a great series today. I'm very, very excited about it, but we're going to give people a couple minutes to pop on. Again, we're home from our safari at the preserve we were at all weekend. We had a great time. It was a great elephant sightings, great lions. It was really lovely. Though we were only there for 3 days, but we did experience the entire gambit of weather. It was like 95 the first day, and then it was not quite so warm, but balmy the second day, and today it's been quite cold and windy and rainy. So, but I am outside, so I'm kind of bundled up a little bit. Anything interesting walks by, I'll show you. So, again, if you're here, check in. I'm going to pray us in a moment, which is to bless our time together. We're going to start a new series called Conversations That Matter, Insights and Distinctions. Our topic today is, if I weren't my past, who would I be? And I know you haven't read my blog yet, but it really had to do with exactly the same thing, so it's clearly been on my heart, which is how everything in nature is what it is. Hi, sister from Florida. Janelle Miller is my sister. Toby, nice to see you. Thank you for coming on. Anyway, my blog, this that I sent out this morning, you'll get it soon, probably in your email box when you leave here, really has to do with how profoundly touched I am by how everything in nature is exactly the way it's supposed to be. It doesn't try to be something else. It doesn't want to be something else. It doesn't have any ego attachment to being what it is. And human beings, as far as I can tell, are the only creatures who, for so many reasons, aren't who they are most of their lives, right? That we end up we're very hard to be someone else, to not be in our own rhythm, our own vibration. So today's topic, today's essay, this is a book. I'm going to hold it up. It's called Insights and Distinctions, Conversations That Matter. And it is a collection of essays by landmark forum leaders. And there's actually two books. I'm going to focus on them for a little bit, in that I love them. So let me, oh yeah, my blog just came in. I just got it. So let me bless us, and then I'm going to share my 3 favorite pictures from the past 3 days with you. My 3 favorites, I picked them out, and then we'll kind of dive into our philosophical, spiritual inquiry for this morning together. And so just join me. I know you just got out of bed, so it's probably very easy for you just to close your eyes for a minute, and still with that sleepiness you might have, to join me on the inner side of life. That space and place within us that is connected to each other, that space and place within us that is connected to every elephant and every ant, that space and place within us that is connected to whatever it is you call spirit or God or nature, whatever it is, it's that golden thread that connects us. We are one. And so it's from that place that I bless our time together. I know that it is whole and perfect, that you woke up and you're going to get what you came for. I showed up and I'm going to get what I came for. And that it is perfect in every possible way. I embrace the good. I celebrate the good. and we just simply allow that to be together. And so it is. Amen. All right, so let me show you my 3 favorite pictures. I'm just going to show them to you because I love them before we get too deep here and give people a little bit of a chance to connect with us. So first I'm going to show you a lion. This was a night photo, and you can just see it's beautiful. It's a young male, and it's just beautiful. The lighting is beautiful, and I think this was there were actually 9 lions, 7 boys, and 2 girls, and they were feeding off of hippo that they had caught during the night. But don't cringe too much. It's what nature, lions are lions. They hunt. They have to eat. Beautiful, right? And then I'm going to show you an Ellie. I know many of you on here love Ellies. This is a baby elephant from this morning, and I don't know whether it's a boy or girl, to tell you the truth, but whatever it was cheeky. So it was looking at us, being sassy and raising its trunk, and you can see by the colors in the bush how beautiful and green it still is. And then really my favorite, when it's hard to believe, to pick over an elephant, is this. This is a chameleon that's sitting on someone's finger, and we didn't harm him. We just picked him up for a moment to look at him. But just look at his feet. Just look at how beautiful his feet are. And they turn colors, chameleon, right, based on their circumstances. Anyway, what's your favorite, the lion, the elephant, or the chameleon? Yeah. So anyway, that's my sharing with you of these beautiful, beautiful animals. And you got my blog. If you're listening and you don't have my blog, just go to deniseschubert.com. You can sign up and you'll get it every time I release one, which is going to be twice this week because I have elephants and lions to share with you. Hi, Barbara. Good morning to you. And she says lion, definitely. Yeah. So, good. So our topic this morning is if I weren't my past, who would I be? And what you're hearing in the background are birds called francolins, and they're just making a racket. I'm not quite sure why. Could be a snake out there, or I don't know. Maybe they're hunting down some food. Hopefully it's not too loud. If it's too loud, let me know and I'll tell them to be quiet. Because of course they'll listen. So this essay was written by Nancy Zapolski, Dr. Nancy Zapolski, who's a Landmark Forum leader, and it's a beautiful essay. If I weren't my past, who would I be? And remember, whenever you're listening to anyone talk or anyone read, or you're in church in the morning, or whatever it is, that you're trying to really apply it to yourself personally, because my body of work is called The Life of Spiritual Power. The reason I do it is because I have spent my whole life, or at least the second half of my life, really wanting to be who I really, really am, and to be really, really happy and fulfilled and satisfied. I really want to be on my deathbed knowing that I gave it everything, and that that I was loving, kind, and authentic. So that's what I want for you. And I know it's surprising, but very, very few people actually live that way. They don't actually have the experience of being who they are and doing what they would love to do, because we're people pleasers at heart, and because the past has such a significant influence on us. So I'm hoping you find this work interesting. So I'm going to read an ad lib. I'm just going to read it a little bit. Feel free to comment. I'll come back to your comments when I have a breath. And she starts and she says, so if I weren't my past, who would I be? She says, trying to change the past is pointless. Getting clarity, I'm going to show you, I'm going to put this up here. Getting clarity about its influence, positive and negative, isn't. So it isn't so much, we teach this in religious science and New Thought teachings all the time, that we really need to get complete with our past. We need to let it be. Werner Erhard used to say, anything you can let be can let you be. Shh, quiet, quiet. Oh my God. I'm sure that's really, really loud for you. Ladies. So he used to say, anything that you can let be can let you be. So she says, trying to resist or change, trying to resist change or avoid the enormous influence of the past keeps us foolishly focused on it. She says, yet we're reluctant to leave it behind. We're reluctant to transform the pervasive hold it has on our present day lives. She says, though, and I love this, she says, doing so, however, results in an endless continuum of living a now littered with the detritus of the past. Isn't that a great word? The detritus of the past. And you all know that this is true, right? That we have a bad breakup, we're afraid to get into relationships again, we have a certain kind of boss, and then we begin to react to new bosses. It takes a lot of intention and commitment to literally let the past be. And you don't want your future littered with the detritus of the past, right? We want to, you'll see as we move through this, we want to really create a future out of nothing. Every single moment, really, like, what do I want today? What do I want today? How am I going to be today? She is writing here a little bit how, without reading it, how where this really shows up the most is in our relationships with people. That we're oriented from our past on how to be in relationship from our parents, good or bad or indifferent. We have they teach us by example how to be in relationship. And I promise you that all of us, at least in our first serious relationships, are going to pretty much show up like our mothers showed up. Or if you're a man, you're going to show up like your father showed up. Or you're going to show up exactly opposite in an effort not to be them. But either way, neither one of those is authentic. Neither one of those is really who you are. So this, and you might look at your relationships and really just see if you can tap into that idea and what we're talking about here. She says, if you take the area of relationships, a place, if you can call it that we all spend a lot of time, the phenomenon of past, present, future becomes pivotal to how things play out. She says, when we're in relationship with others, in addition to bringing whatever past we had into the relationship, there is also built-in, inherent, and implied future orientation. She says, because of this future orientation, especially when it's something like a marriage or a business partnership, something where you're going to be committed for a very long period of time, there is added pressure to have things work out. So there's an added pressure to slip into inauthenticity, or added pressure to slip into old ways of being that don't necessarily lead to happiness or fulfillment. Now, this is an important, the Landmark Forum essays, and the Landmark Forum itself is really much more of a deeply philosophical inquiry than it is a spiritual or God-centered activity or inquiry. But life is inherently spiritual, so it doesn't really matter how you approach it in any way. So, but our life is all about relationship. If there are no relationships, then there's no life really being lived, whether that's in friendships or families or in love. So it's an important, very, very important. So the meat of this essay is this. She says, imagine for a moment there are 4 different ways that we might relate to the future. So let's leave the past there for a minute. 4 different ways we might relate to the future. One is a hoped for future, one in which we might wish it didn't rain so much, or the sun would come out, or we would win the lottery, or COVID would end. She calls it a hoped for future. The second one is an inevitable future, getting older, paying taxes, dying, all the things that we hold as inevitable. And those could be some things that aren't really inevitable, but you think they are, so that you hold them that way. The third way is the plan for a future, perhaps adding to your savings, going on another trip to Africa, putting your kids through college, finding another relationship after a breakup. So we have hoped for a future, a inevitable future, and a planned for a future. The one she's mostly interested in is the probable, almost certain future, which is the one that is governed by your past. She calls it, and lastly, a probable, almost certain future that is almost certainly for sure going to be what actually happens to you, or going to be what actually happens to the world, or going to be what actually happens. So it's something we're more believing in, we're more connected to. And as you know, in this philosophy, it is done unto us as we believe. So your attachment to an probable, almost certain future almost probably guarantees that future will happen. So this is the one that she really wants to pay most attention to. So she says, Nancy Zapolski says, if we're straight with ourselves, our probable, almost certain future is likely already pretty clear to us. We already see it happening. Like I have an almost probable future. I'm here. I can be here for 3 months. I'm probably pretty certain that I'll be here for 6 months. Then I'm pretty certain I'm coming back to North Carolina. You understand? So it's one, when you think about your future, that you're pretty clear it's going to happen that way. But then she says, but let's say that future doesn't quite match up to the one we wanted. Something happens, like somebody moves your cheese. Remember that book, Who Moved My Cheese? When we get glimpses of this or any future that is unwanted, our first response might be to say something like, oh well, even though things didn't quite turn out like I thought they would, or are a bit troublesome or a bit frustrating, I'm really okay with it. So we have this probable, almost certain future that we kind of put our stock in, and then it doesn't quite work out that way. We adapt to it not quite working out the way we really wanted it to. After all, we think other areas in our lives are working, so we can just let this one go. We don't really have to fix or change anything. It'll all balance out. But she says, and this is important, however, when we settle things in our minds that way, or make these kinds of accommodations, there is no real possibility. We are essentially signed on to an unwanted future. So I had this experience. All I can really do is speak for myself. I had a plan, and my plan was I was going to go to Africa for a month in September, come back and work in October with Reverend Claudia at Naples, and then I was going to get my hip replaced and be out for 4 weeks. Well, I was going to come back on Thanksgiving Day and continue my career at Unity with Reverend Claudia and all of the wonderful people in that community. And then I had a stroke, right? A little stroke. It sounds so serious when I say it. You guys look at me and I'm sure it's as good as you think it is. It's like my eyes are better. I'm walking. But anyway, my point being, uh, I did. There was a moment in there where I started to resign myself to an unwanted future. A future where I didn't see right, a future where I couldn't work, a future that I would never come to Africa again. I really went there. So don't, if you go there, don't be embarrassed that you go there. I mean, that's just what we do. We go there. So we signed on. So when we do that, we essentially sign on to an unwanted future. Oh, Chippy's here. Chippy. I'm sorry. Chippy is a tame squirrel. Came to visit. So she says, sorry. Our past experience seems to be calling the shots. Here's how it works. When we have a bad day or a bad experience, we put that past experience into our future as something we fear will happen again at some point, and something we want to make sure doesn't happen again. So when you have a bad experience, we project it into the future as avoidance or ensuring that it cannot happen again, which, by the way, will always impact your present moment and what you do. Or if we have an exceedingly good day and something that we did worked out, we store that past experience into the future as well, hoping to create it as closely as possible again. So essentially, we take our experiences and circumstances which are behind us and put our decisions about them, how we feel and think about them, in front of us. In doing so, we lock ourselves into relating to the past like it's going to happen again in the future. She says that is the wiring. So you have to look for yourself to see if you can relate to how all the past experience, good or bad. I remember when I was doing the Landmark Forum leader was talking about how this man took this woman on a date to a beautiful restaurant overlooking the ocean, and it was a perfect evening. I mean, perfect. The food was perfect, the service was perfect, the sunset was perfect, the restaurant, the temperature was it was just the most perfect experience. And that there was some moment after that experience where he met a woman that he really, really liked, and he wanted to recreate that experience because it was perfect. So he booked the same restaurant, ordered the same food, and it was a disaster. But the point being is not that it was a disaster. The point being that he was creating this new experience out of an old experience. So it wasn't really a creation at all. It was like a rerun, right? Inevitability of a rerun. I'm not looking at your comments to see if you have questions. Da, 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 da. Hi, Melanie. How are you guys? All right, going back to my banners. So she says, when we recognize and can be with our probable, almost certain future, when we can be with it, and by the way, being with something means to not try to change it or fix it, succumb to it, but to literally just be responsible for it, just to acknowledge it. So call it being with something. She says, when we can do that, it starts to open up a space in which we can both complete something and invent something. So complete something and invent. Now listen, to live life is to, in my view, to want to be inventing something, a future, like to be coming from your most soulful place. If as a minister, I would say that your soul's intention, your soul's purpose, to get in touch with, why am I here? What, and by the way, why you're here is to do what you love to do. So you have to get in touch with, what do I love? What do I want? What turns me on? What floats my boat? And then move in that direction. She says, completing the past is enormously powerful in and of itself. And completing the past, so there's kind of a something I love. Those who've worked with me for a while, you know I love this. It's kind of a so what. A what so is also so what. What so is also so what. So when you get to a certain stage as an adult, a spiritually mature adult, you get to say things to yourself like, yeah, when I was growing up, the kids teased me at school and I was bullied, but so what? Like, it could be the truth, that is the truth, you were bullied, but it doesn't have to have the effect it has on your future that it's had in the past. If you can move it into just to let it be. It's true, I was bullied. My being bullied does not have to be the driving force in my moving forward in my life. She says, if we take out of our future everything from the past that we inadvertently place there and put it back in the past where it belongs, then what's in the future is nothing. Also, for those of you who have been studying with me for a long time, I love creating something out of nothing. So this is an essay about that. I'm going to read what I just said again. If we take out of our future everything from the past that we inadvertently placed there, inadvertently meaning not on purpose, because it's the wiring, that's what we do, inadvertently put there, and put it back in the past, then what's in the future is nothing. She goes on to say, nothing like a clearing, one in which we can be fully ourselves. Not nothing like it doesn't matter, not nothing like nothing, but nothing like an opening, like a clearing. One in which we can fully be ourselves. It is from nothing that a created future can come into the picture. If we're going to create a future in our relationships, in our work, in our lives, it is a matter of saying so. So at some moment in December and November, when my life was feeling over, at least my probable future, I was beginning to reconcile myself to an unwanted future. At some moment in there, I had to practice what I teach, right? I had to practice what I preach. I had to say, so if I were creating out of nothing, if I were going to put all of this in the past and not project it into my future, what would I want to do? That was my question. I mean, or I like asking it another way too. I like saying things like, if I had 5 years left to live, what would I do that I'm not doing? Am I doing that? And you know what I said already. What I said is, well, I would sell my house, I would sell my car, I would keep 6 suitcases full of my favorite things, and I would go to Africa for as long as I could go there. And that's truly what I have done. So I do want you to know I do walk my walk as much as possible, even though, like you, I can forget for a minute or two. She says, it is from nothing that a created future can come into the picture. If we're going to create a future in our relationships, our work, and in our lives, it's a matter of saying so. It's a matter of declaration. It's not, I'm going to do this because of this, this, and this. I'm not going to do this because I have enough money or because everyone wants me to. It's a function of declaration, a function of saying so. And I will tell you that that's a little bit what makes us different from a lion or an elephant, in that nature itself is instinctual. I'm pretty sure there's not a decision-making process. There's not a reasoning mind, but that doesn't matter because in some ways, in one of the essays it says, rocks must gravitate and lions must pounce, but we have a choice in every single moment to create a future out of nothing. She says it doesn't rest on anything, it rests on nothing. So what tomorrow will be like for you rests on nothing other than your saying so, your speaking your word. She finishes with, that's the foundation for possibility. In creating possibility, In creating possibility, we get to know what is possible in being human. So, uh, so that's our lesson today. Our lesson today is, if I weren't my past, who would I be? That's your question. If you could put your past in the past where it belongs and cease to allow it to have so much influence on your life. And by the way, when I say that, it is not easy, because the past lives in us like a fact. It lives in us like a reality. Every major decision you've made about yourself came from your past. Every limitation you think you have came from your past. Every fault you think you have came from somebody telling you, or you're telling yourself. I mean, it just takes one, your first teenage crush. It takes that one person to say you're an idiot, and we agree. You're right. I'm an idiot, and we live like an idiot for the rest of our lives, right? So your job, and I will speak the word for you today before we close, but our job is to really acknowledge that you are whole, you are perfect, you have a divine right to be here, you have a purpose, a passion, and that all of that is open for possibility every moment moving forward from this moment. Past is past, so rather than keep projecting the past into the future, you want to come into the present and project your present into the future, which is your declaration. Yes? Whew, it's a lot, right? But I say we like a lot, don't we? I like a lot. Jennifer Goodrich, I haven't seen you for a long time. So nice to see you. Wow, look at all of you here up so bright and early this morning. So some of you that came on late, I'm going to show you my three favorite pictures from the last 3 days. Are you ready? One more time, everyone. Here's the lion. A beautiful young male lion, probably 2 years old. A gorgeous elephant, also probably 2 years old, beautiful baby elephant. And one of my favorites is this chameleon with his beautiful toes. Yeah. So if you are not getting my blog, so we're going to stay with this book for a minute or two. By the way, the next essay is Something About Nothing. So we'll explore that. That's by Joe DiMaggio, a doctor, also Landmark Forum leader. You could go to my website. I will get it for you here. You can go to my website and you can, sorry, I'm doing my eyes here. You can go to my website, Control V, there you go, and link on that. And on my website, you can do a couple of things. You can sign up for the blog. You can also donate to the ministry, which is kind of important right now because I'm actually supporting Tanya, who owns this Airbnb. She supports orphaned animals. She has right now some mongoose and bush babies that get orphaned, and she's feeding them, and the expense of doing that here. So you can do that, or you can also, if you want some life coaching, like if you would like do some work about your past and really getting clear and getting it put where it belongs, we can work together on Zoom. Now, we'll also try, we did Zoom last week. I don't know if I thought it was particularly successful, but I kind of screwed up the times. So I'm thinking that maybe we can try again today. Let me get that link for you. It's just my phone number, and I will go right from here to there. And then, oh no, I can see. I'm doing this wrong. Sorry, you guys must think I'm crazy. Yeah, okay. Here's the link. Here's the link to the Zoom. So 479-283-9409. And then we'll just see face to face and have little conversations. We can unpack today's lesson a little bit if you'd like, or we'll just say hey, just say hello to each other. All right, so I think that's it. I'm going to pray us out. So thank you for joining me Saturday night with Reverend Denise from South Africa. We'll have a spiritual lesson every Saturday morning at 9 a.m. for about 30 minutes. We'll hop onto Zoom to see if anybody wants to connect personally. And I just welcome always any email. You can email me. There's a contact page on my website and, of course, the blog, so you can enjoy the beauty of this amazing place. If you feel called to come visit Africa, if you coming while I'm here could be a wonderful thing because it's pretty easy to get here, pretty inexpensive to get here, and I can walk you through that in every possible way. So, all right, so let's take a breath while I know the truth for you and for me, and the possibility we have to declare our future, to create it effortlessly, to live into it gracefully. So take a breath. And as you take that deep inhale, just inhale unconditional love, perfect peace, unlimited possibilities for yourself. As you exhale out anything you do not need, any stress or heaviness on your heart you've been carrying, really just let it all go. It's such a waste of time. I'm telling you, elephants just be elephants, lions just be lions. They don't stress, they don't worry. There's no doubt, it's just perfect. And it can be that way for us. So just breathe in perfect peace and breathe out anything unlike that. And as we do that, we come together in the name and the nature of love. We come together in the name and the nature of this perfect now moment, unfettered by the effects of the past, unfettered by our beliefs that no longer serve us, unfettered by anything that's heavy on our hearts. And we come into the full bloom of our being, the full bloom of our beauty, the full bloom of our wisdom, the full bloom of our intelligence, the full bloom of our understanding, our authentic self that knows what to do, when to do it, that is open to support from the universe, that isn't afraid to dream, that has dropped the word because, and to simply know that we live by declaration, we live by creation, we live by architecting a life that we love. That's how we live. It's the invitation to live that way. And so it doesn't matter right now if you're in worry or doubt. It doesn't matter if you have conditions or circumstances you don't like. I'm here to tell you they will pass. And they will pass faster if you let them pass. And so give yourself permission to let the past be the past and stop giving it meaning, stop giving it value, stop giving it reasons. Show up now, right here, right now, open. And so I speak my word for you and for myself, for and about everyone within the sound of my voice, proclaiming that our mind is part of the same mind that created all things. Our heart is part of the same heart that loves all things. And that because that is true, we are not bound by the ego, we are bound by the spirit. And so the spirit, we give the spirit within us permission to live. We give the spirit within us, we make it welcomed in our experience. And as we do this, things will change, I promise. Things will change. You will change. And life will begin to become a magnificent creation rather than something to be tolerated. And so how good it is to speak this word, to know this truth, to know it for you, to know it for myself, and to know it for humanity, as the knowing of that truth will right all the wrongs, make straight all the crooked places, end the war, feed the animals, all things good come out of our oneness and union with his divine and holy presence. And so I just release my word, knowing in this moment that the manifesting powers that be are manifesting them, and that we can leave this time expecting and accepting the fulfillment of this prayer. And so join with me in knowing this. Do some holy work today. And so it is. Amen. All right. Thank you so much. So beautiful to be here. I hope it wasn't too loud with the Franklins in the background. Uh, so, peace and blessings to you. I'm going to close down StreamYard. I'm going to give me 5 minutes. I'm going to open up my Zoom account. And if you want to come in and say hello, please do. I'm hoping my sister will join me. That would almost be wonderful. And anyone else who's here, please, if you've never done it, it's really quite fun. And it's very informal. It's just a hello. So, from the African bush, my heart to yours. I will see you next Saturday morning at 9 a.m. Peace and blessings.